Ready to embark on a journey of limitless curiosity? Join us on the Being Curious Show, where we curiously connect teachers and seekers in a safe space, exploring a vast array of topics that spark the flame of curiosity within you. We've created a community for thoughtful discussions where teachers share their wisdom and seekers explore the depths of their curiosity. It's a space where diverse perspectives come together, fostering connection and understanding. Our intention is simple: to ignite your curiosity and create a life that totally lights you up. Hello, beautiful ones. It is Kelly Wagner, publisher of Edge Magazine. I have a delightful interview for everyone today. It's not often that I get to interview somebody in my peer group, and today is the day. Well, without further ado, David Trotter is the publisher of Awakened Magazine, which, if you haven't checked it out yet, awakenedmagazine.com. It's what he's doing and how he's highlighting and how he's showcasing conscious leaders is just yummy. It's fantastic, and it's very needed, and it's very needed now. And he has an amazing backstory, which we're going to jump into right away. And he's a very curious individual, but he also has a brand new book out, Awakened Hearts. Isn't this beautiful? It's this beautiful collection, an invitation from thought leaders from all over sharing their stories. Okay, I gave you just a little bit, just enough to know. So without further ado, David, welcome to the show.
Hi, Kelly. Great to be with you.
Great to be with you. How is that?
Well, that was very generous. Thank you.
Oh, goodness. Well, my first question is, what are you curious about?
Man, I'm curious about what is going on behind the veil of this world, like what's actually going on behind like what we see, taste, touch, and feel. I'm curious about that. I'm curious about people's passions and what they are excited about in their life. I think that's what makes me a pretty decent interviewer, is I love asking lots of questions. We'll be out to dinner somewhere and I'll start asking people questions. And sometimes some people will go, "Are you interrogating me? Are you an interviewer? What is this?" I'm like, "Well, actually I am. I'm just really interested in who you are." So I'm interested in people, curious about people.
Yeah, you are. Okay, you have a beautiful and amazing backstory and how you got to be where you are today. I want everybody to take a big, deep breath, because this is the good one. And David, just share what you want to share with the audience, because I think this is going to lay the foundation on how you are at Awakened Magazine and how this book came to play. So the floor is yours.
Yeah. Well, when I start an interview, I will oftentimes ask people their story of awakening to consciousness, mindfulness, spirituality, and I take them back to their childhood and ask, how did you grow up with some sort of faith or spirituality? Because I think that is such a huge part, right, of laying the foundation of our life. And for me, I grew up in a very conservative Christian home where we actually went to church in a house. It was part of a house church movement. And so it was technically, if you looked into the history of 1970s, 80s Christianity, it was kind of part of a pseudo cult, but I never experienced it that way. It was just a beautiful group of families and people, and I enjoyed that. But I also grew up in a household where I knew more about what we were against rather than what we were for. We were against Halloween, bugs, like the bunny, Easter bunny, right? Santa, secular music, all these things, sex, of course, we were against that. And then as I continued to grow up, though, I started to connect with that faith a bit more. And by the time I was a senior in high school, I had a dynamic encounter where I felt a deep calling into Christian ministry. And so I shifted my plans. I was planning to go to be a professional photojournalist, sports photographer, and I shifted it and went down the path of ministry and my bachelor's and master's, and got into full-time ministry as an associate pastor here in Orange County, California, helped start some churches that I got a chance to be a part of, churches that grew really fast. And it was exciting and dynamic. And I was also over my head, and I was learning and growing. And by the time I was 30 years old, I had the opportunity to start my own church here in Southern California. And it grew pretty fast. And I had this sense that I would make an impact on a positive level uh, around the globe. And when you have that sense or calling, sometimes that gets mixed up with ego, right? The calling that I believe is divine in some way on our lives, but then mixed up with, yeah, okay, here we go. And so I spent 10 years kind of trying to make that happen. And I describe it as trying to fill a void of not enoughness within me. And if I could just grow that church big enough, help enough people, then I'll finally be somebody. And by 2008, 10 years in, I just hit a wall of burnout and made some unhealthy choices. And honestly, I checked myself into a mental hospital for 3 days in order to regulate and get back to not wanting to end my life. And then I had to recalibrate and make some decisions to go, okay, I don't think that environment of full time ministry is a healthy environment for my personality. And it was less about the theology and more about the business side of church because,
You were talking about wanting to know behind the scenes. So I actually, that's what was popping up to me, is the behind the scenes of the church and growing a church and having to have people, not have, wrong word, the opportunity for people to come to you, and they're looking to you as solving problems and their guide. That's a lot of pressure.
yeah, it can be, but that a lot of people who don't have experience in that growing church context will oftentimes think that it's the pressure of people wanting answers. But for me, that wasn't the issue. The issue was more about the pressure of growing the church, reaching more people, and the intricacies of, okay, we have 3 Sunday locations, none of which we own. Every one of them has a trailer filled with equipment, sound, lighting, tech, chairs, children's ministry, where you're having volunteers set it up, tear it down every single time in 3 different locations with a dozen staff. And now you're hitting 2008 with the financial crisis. And so, how are you handling the finances? That is more the stress that was impacting me. Yeah.
That's a lot. Well, it's like the business side and then the spiritual side, and
Yes.
and even as entrepreneurs and the entrepreneurs that you're working with and that I'm working with on a regular basis. I work with so many people that are like, I'm a sound healer and I love this, and I've invested in my bulls and I've invested in my time, and I just want to play. I don't want
Right.
to worry about filling the room. I don't want to worry about advertising. I don't want to worry about what I owe the IRS and finding space and
That's
doing.
right.
I just want to play my bowls and get my music out.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we live in a world and a culture where if you want that to be a focus for you, a full time focus, you've got to figure out the financial component as well. If you want it to be a side project where it's an act of service and you also have a full time job, you can probably figure that out. But yeah, it's the combination of feeling called to bring goodness to the world in some form or fashion, but also there are bills and finances, and we live in a world where, in large part, if you don't advertise in some way, it's tough to take things to the next level. So there's a cost to that. So in 2008, I really hit that wall, and I chose to pivot and started offering my services in the area of marketing, websites, graphic design, videography, photography, social media, because a lot of those tools I had utilized in the process of growing the church. And I fell into, in the process, filmmaking because I had my own business, so I had time on my hands to be able to kind of pursue some passion projects. And I had been to India a lot, like probably by that time 10 times on a lot of humanitarian trips. And so I became really passionate about the issue of orphans in India. At the time, UNICEF indicated that there were 31 million orphans in the nation of India. And orphans in India is described not as someone who doesn't have parents, but as perhaps it has one parent or even both parents, but the parents just can't take care of the child, generally for either financial or health reasons. And so we produced and directed a film, a documentary on orphans in India. It's called Mother India: Life Through the Eyes of the Orphan. It was on Netflix for 2 years, and now it's on Amazon Prime still. And then I produced and directed a documentary on sex trafficking in the United States. I had seen sex trafficking firsthand in India and Thailand and China, and then I began to hear about it in the US. So I started working on that project, I think in 2012, and we featured 6 women who opened up aftercare homes around the United States and featured their stories as well as the stories of some of the survivors that, had been helped by them. I did a couple other films. I did a documentary on kind of a pseudo, like a cult here in Southern California, and then I did a scripted feature film on LGBTQ inclusion in the church. That was a scripted film. Yeah, in the process.
You don't tackle like light topics there, David. Yeah. You go for it. I mean, I have so many. I mean, I want to know. I want to talk to you about the India documentary, sex trafficking, and human trafficking, and all of that is really coming to light. And I will say, Amy Klobuchar, one of our state representatives in Minnesota, is a huge advocate. And I went to one of her presentations for a chamber or something like that about 2 years ago, and the insight that she had about malls that are right off of the major highway, and then in the highway loops, and the Mall of America, which we have in Minneapolis, but then how they've trained airline staff and hotel staff, and so all of these different building awareness is just so powerful, and it's such an undercurrent that so many people don't talk about.
Yeah. And obviously, sex trafficking is probably the most known, just because of how kind of like shocking it is. But the things that people don't think about is why these things happen. And number one reason is generally that young person is in a place of vulnerability. They're lacking the financial means to support themselves, or they're lacking the emotional connection in order to feel like they have other choices. And so
Right.
someone comes and takes advantage of them because of their lack of either economic power or emotional or relational power. And so that's a big issue, is like, how do we help young people understand what are often called the traps of a trafficker?
Right.
And then, not a popular topic to talk about, but people oftentimes, when I would come back from doing these filming trips in different parts of the United States, would say, "What can we do to stop sex trafficking?" I go, "Well, the number one thing that would eliminate it is if you eliminate demand." And demand comes from generally a male who is seeking out that experience. And the thing that starts a male seeking out that experience is one thing: it is a common denominator every single time. And if we eliminated this, it would eliminate demand. And it's pornography, because pornography is the beginning place of every single one of those individuals' desire to have that experience. So kind of a funky, like not a fun thing to talk about, but
I think it's a beautiful thing to talk about and to shine awareness with it in a safe space. And I mean, I don't even know the numbers, but I'm assuming that the pornography industry is in the billions internationally.
Yeah. It's a huge market. And, it's like, I'm sure there's lots of ethical considerations about, oh, everybody should have the freedom to do this, that, and the other. And it's like, it's fine. But if you ask, pretty much any expert in that area of wanting to eliminate sex trafficking, they go, well, demand is the issue. If you eliminate demand, you then take away the market. And demand starts with pornography in that person's life, generally. Yeah. So,
Wow.
these you said, oh, I tackle these light topics, but these are topics that are important. And for me, oftentimes when I come across something that captures my attention, I either have to kind of turn a blind eye to it and go, okay, I just can't even look at that, because if I do look at it, I'm going to want to like take action, And I oftentimes I'm not the person who wants to spend the rest of my life talking about orphans in India and like that's my thing. Some people are called to that. I just interviewed a woman on our show who started an organization called Yoga Gives Back, and she motivates the yoga community in order to support women and children in India. And she's dedicated her life to that, and that is wonderful. I tend to find certain issues, want to draw attention to it, promote the people that are involved in it, and then I kind of move on to other things that I want to promote or draw attention to.
It's like the chapters in your book. It's you want to take a chapter. It's not just a page. You're not just doing a little story. A full-on documentary. I mean, you immerse yourself. You really become educated in it. But then it's like a what is it, an hourglass that you just take it and it has an hourglass to it. And what I get again as a psychic medium, but an intuitive, is that you are all in for that project during that time, but there is a start, a middle, and an ending, and you wrap it up and there's satisfaction with that. But then also you're able to shine lights in different arenas, in different topics,
Mm-hmm.
that if you just spent your whole life tackling the children in India, and the orphans, and I'm sorry, not tackling the children in India, the orphans of India, it wouldn't give you the fulfillment that you're able to. I mean, with everything you're talking about, and then it's almost like, and I'm sorry, I'm starting to channel a little bit when I get like this, and English doesn't come out as fast, is that you're so passionate, you shine the light, but then it's like you birth something for others to be able to take the baton on, and they can run with it, and you can educate, and they can do their own research, their own study, and be all in their own way.
Yeah, and each one of those film projects included an organization or multiple organizations that I thought was worthy of shining a light on, and then it helped that organization. So, like for instance, the sex trafficking film that's been used by hundreds of nonprofits to show and go, our nonprofit is not featured in this film, but you become aware of the issue. You see other nonprofits, and then they utilize it even for fundraising purposes, drawing attention to what they're doing in their city. But meanwhile, I will say that over the course of those years of working on those film projects, I was looking for something that I felt like could be something that I could invest my life into long term. I felt like I really want something that there's a long term investment. And after I did the fourth film project, I felt drawn to move into podcasting. And so I started a podcast called Inspiration Rising, specifically focused on female entrepreneurs, because I found a lot of women were interested in the different things that I was doing. And I thought, well, maybe if I could highlight what these amazing female entrepreneurs are doing and give voice to them in a different format. Did about 250 episodes. And in the process, I started.
Whoa, we need to stop. Everybody needs to realize what it takes to do 250 episodes of a podcast. Okay, keep going. Thank you.
I started having all these women come on the show talking to me about energy and Reiki and healing and mediumship. And Kelly, I was like, these people are a bunch of nut jobs. These are weirdos. And I would even tell them, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to push back a little bit. It's not because I'm against what you're doing. I just am like, so I would, I'd get them laughing. I go, in my old life, this is satanic. Like we should not be talking about this, and they would laugh. But what was happening was I was simultaneously releasing some major theological components in my life that were not making sense to me anymore. One of the very first things when I left ministry that I had been wrestling with for those 10 years of ministry was the issue of LGBTQ inclusion in the church. And
Okay.
so when I could finally, after not getting a paycheck from a church where I couldn't ask those questions, I could dive into that and really look at it from a sociological perspective, a perspective of the Bible and perspective of psychology, and to go, okay, I'm ready to release that belief that has been a part of my heritage, right?
Sure.
And I released it, and I was like, okay, this feels good. And then I began to wrestle with the issue of the ultimate issue of inclusion, which is heaven or hell. Now, that is the ultimate issue of inclusion. And so then I released that. And so simultaneously, I'm having these conversations with these women, and they were giving me permission to open my mind and my heart up to see the divine and to see the world and to see myself in a totally different way. And I soon realized these people are actually my tribe. These are the most amazing people. And one of the things that was so fascinating in my high school and college years, I was a part of the Christian tradition that would be called like Pentecostalism or charismatic belief, which has a belief in what they would call the supernatural, that which you cannot explain or see. And I had had experiences with those things myself, knowing things that I shouldn't have been able to know, or feeling things. I had spoken in tongues since I was 18. And all of a sudden, I'm being introduced to people who also believe in these things. And it felt like, oh, okay, this is awesome, because most of evangelical Christianity does not accept this way of seeing the world. It's much more of a head driven studying of the Bible, right, wrong, good, bad, black, white, list of do's and don'ts, rather than this acceptance that we are a spirit living in this body, and that there are experiences that you cannot explain, and that there are things that happen beyond this three-dimensional reality. And so as I'm connecting with these people, I'm like, okay, this feels like I'm returning home in some weird way. Like, this feels amazing.
Okay, I have to ask you, you're speaking in tongues at 18. How are you, I don't want to say wrestling, but how are you wrestling with that, knowing that you have that gift and that ability? Yet, did you tell anybody publicly in your church?
It was part of our church. It was
Oh,
part of,
beautiful.
I was a part of a youth group at the time where that had begun to happen among the teenagers.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was a very dynamic expression of connecting to God and following Jesus. And so it was part of the theology of that church. And then I went to a college where that was also accepted or part of the culture. So yeah, it was a normal thing. Yeah. Mhm.
My questions are based on I had no religious foundation growing up. So I would go to church on Christmas Eve because my mom loved the music.
Yeah.
And then I dated a boy in high school and his parents were Lutheran, and I would, because I wanted to go hang out with my boyfriend, he'd be like, "Well, we're gonna go to church," and my dad's
Yeah.
playing in the
Yeah.
band. Want to go? Okay. So
Yeah.
I apologize if some of my questions
Oh, no,
are
it's great.
are coming in. They're curious. They're curious questions.
Yeah. And there's so many different strains of Christianity. Um, Beyond, you've got Catholicism, you've got Orthodox Church, and then you've got Protestantism. And then within the Protestant, kind of stream, there's all the different denominations. Episcopalian, Lutheran, Methodist, Baptist, Pentecostal, Charismatic, Foursquare. I mean, there's just for somebody who hasn't been immersed in it, it's like me being introduced to somebody who's talking about energy, Reiki, healing, channeling, mediumship, channeling. I'm all, what, right? So it's just a different world.
Oh, it's beautiful. Like I'm all about it. And thank you very much for allowing me the ability to ask such questions.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I am then my main gateway drug to all of this was
I
sound baths. I
Oh,
started going to sound baths and I was like, wow, okay. And then I got quickly introduced to breath work. And then I heard the guy who's leading the breath work speaking in what he called a light language. And I was like, light language? You're speaking in tongues. What is this? This is crazy. And so I'm like, I can do that here? What? Wow, oh my gosh, this feels so amazing. This is liberating. This is so connecting. And then slowly, I just, over the last 4 years, it's
okay.
been relatively recently, have really, dived into all of these different modalities and experienced a lot of different transformation in my life. And so, Yeah, I mean, I obviously I can go into each one of those modalities and how it's impacted me, but my partner Mandy, who's also the co-founder of Awaken Magazine, she owns a breathwork and meditation studio here in Orange County called Behind the Lids Healing Collective, and so we met about 3 years ago. And so I got certified in breathwork and meditation, and now I help lead classes there alongside her and some other amazing facilitators. And then how that leads to Awaken Magazine is I started coming into contact and recognizing, oh my gosh, look at all these facilitators who are doing incredible things. This is amazing. And the theme that I see interwoven in all of them is they are wanting to bring love, healing, and transformation to the people around them and to the world at large. And so that promoter inside of me, because
Yep.
I am a cheerleader, I am a promoter. I've done that through my films, through ministry, through marketing, through the podcast. I just began to think, is there a way that I could help them spread their message, amplify their voice even farther? And simultaneously, this was probably about a year and a half, maybe less than a year and a half ago, I started becoming aware of digital magazines in the marketplace, and like Brains magazine and different magazines. And I don't think I was aware of Edge magazine at the time, but I saw that a lot of these magazines, they were not print, but they either were very kind of rigid and more business like, kind of super clean, or they were um, a little wonky, a little bit.
Really crossed over the woo. Oh yeah, and the Edge magazine before was so in the woo. I would looked at it and I was like, ooh, okay, you guys.
Well, I wouldn't even talk about the woo. I more talk about the branding and just the way it
Oh,
looked was
well,
maybe
yeah.
not as professional as I, would had hoped. And so I just began to also see the different business models, just because it has to be sustainable whatever you do. And so anyway, I just began to dream about what would it look like to start something that was both beautiful and also engaging, and simultaneously the whole purpose was to amplify the voices of these conscious leaders, healers, and coaches. And I definitely did not know about Edge magazine before we started Awaken magazine. We started it literally a year ago, 1 year ago. And then I think months afterwards, came across Edge, and I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, this sounds horrible, but like probably one of the only other magazines that I would say looks beautiful and is like engaging. Like, so I began to look at like, okay, this person's doing something amazing. I love this. Oh, they're printing it. What the heck? How are they doing that? That's so expensive. So anyway, I admire what you're doing, and cheer you on in the process as well. I know how much work it is, and I'm 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 barely getting started.
Well, I thank you for your kind words, and I just want to encourage everybody watching the show. Awakened magazine is beautiful, and that's my husband's a classically trained artist. So, and I know you with your marketing, and it's just you can tell when they spend the extra time and effort on making it easy to digest, but beautiful to look at, because it just, you know, that if you craft it with love, it just it's a better invitation. And we're also trying to amplify the voices of conscious leaders. I love this, and positioning them as the thought leaders that they are. And if you do it in a wonky, I like that word, a delivery or a platform or medium, it doesn't give them the voice and the credit that they deserve. So that's where I love our synergy, is that we are very like-minded in that. And how do we amplify the voices in a beautiful way?
Yeah,
Okay, so oh,
and
go
I
for
would
it.
say in our world, we are so used to professional, beautiful presentation of whatever it might be. And so when it looks like your grandma made it, nobody wants to look at it. Nobody wants to, it loses credibility. And we have the most amazing, life-changing, healing messages that need to get out there. And so the most, beautiful, appropriately authentic packaging for that, you know, I think is it honors the message.
So here's my invitation, please. The stage is yours. Talk about the magazine.
Ah, well, we put out content every week. We generally release 1 to 3 interviews and, I don't know, 2 to 6 articles. And we have a group of executive contributors who, as I said, are conscious leaders, healers, and coaches from all different walks of life and around the globe. And we love just drawing attention to what they're doing, shining a light on it. Our YouTube channel is a great place to be able to dive in as well and engage in those video interviews. awakenmagazine.com/subscribe is the place to receive a free subscription. We send out several emails a week with that new content. And we're just excited to share the messages that people are sharing with us. Yeah, it's amazing.
Tell me about some of your recent interviews that you've just been like, there you go. The eyes just went like this and went, woo!
Well, you've got some very interesting people like Vivian Chevet, who is a hybrid Arcturian who has come here with a mission to help with the reascension of planet Earth. And if you're not familiar with the words that I just said, she would blow your mind with the way that she embodies her calling and her identity. It's very fascinating to hear her speak. You've got people like Dr. Sue Morter, who wrote the best-selling book, The Energy Codes, and she's all about energy and how do we call things into our life and experience healing and transformation. It's very powerful. People like Daryl Anka, who channels Bashar. People like David Avocado Wolf, who is known for many, many years of bringing health and conspiracies theories, aka the truth, to us about different things. And then we also interview lots of people who are serving in their local communities and also online who you would not have heard of, but they are just full of purpose and passion and giftedness, and we want them to be known too. So you'll find people's names that you know and people that you don't, and they're all doing great things in the world.
Did you interview Elizabeth April?
Yes, I have.
I just got turned on to Elizabeth April. I want to say about 6 months ago in the Forum. I was at Conscious Life Expo 2 years ago, and I rode the elevator down with her, and she was this beautiful, cute blonde and I'm not saying, you know what I'm saying when I say that, just this lovely, lovely person. And I'm in Conscious Life Expo, and anybody that hasn't been to Conscious Life Expo, it's quite the experience. And the energy there is rather, there's a lot going on. And you can just tell she was this cute blonde that I looked at and I interacted with, and I just said hello to, you could just tell she was having a quiet moment, and I was having a quiet moment, but I could tell that it was two very different quiet moments happening. And then when we got out the elevator, we walked out, someone was like, "Oh my God, it's E!" And I'm like,
okay. I should have gotten her autograph. I didn't even know I should have.
I didn't even know who she was. She just looked lovely. And then I heard her name, and then I saw that she was having presentations and on panels, and I was curious, but I was doing my own thing at Conscious Life Expo. And then I just have been hearing about her. And then about 6 months ago, I was like, oh. So tell me a little bit about that interview.
Yeah. So Elizabeth has had some extraterrestrial encounters taking her to the center of the moon in order to participate in meetings with the Galactic Federation. And she is best known for remote viewing. And she gives behind the scenes views of people who are celebrities and people that we would know about what's going on in their lives. She has a very robust membership community that I have dived into and checked out. And a lot of the videos that are in her membership community, she has them hosted on her own site because they'll immediately get taken down off YouTube because they are kind of, out there. But she is so authentic and open-hearted and fun to talk to. And she's just an amazing human being. So encourage you to definitely check out Elizabeth April.
Absolutely. And I actually did just join the community, and I like how she'll have a video on YouTube and then go part 2 is on my website because I have to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you're having you launched Awakened magazine a little over a year ago. It is beautiful. You're amplifying the voices of conscious leaders here, there, and everywhere. And then you get an idea for a book.
Yes, yes. And by the way, I will say we've printed one measly copy of Awaken magazine, and this
Jerry
copy was
Sargent is a cray too. I love
yeah,
him. I forgot you had the cover with Jerry Sargent. I interviewed him about a year and a half ago. Oh my gosh. Like there's another one.
yeah.
His eyes, like,
I know. Well, people, we released this special edition. We didn't just print one magazine. We printed 3,000 copies of one magazine. But we did a special edition just for Conscious Life Expo this past February, and Jerry was on the cover. And it's so funny because I love for people to smile on the cover. And I begged him for
oh
a
no.
photo of himself smiling. And he's like, nope, this is the picture I want. I'm like, okay. And so we had a thousands of copies of these hanging out around Conscious Life Expo. Some people were like, "Oh my gosh, I got to have this Jerry Sargent," and then other people were like, "That man looks scary. Okay, I do not want that magazine." And we're like, "No, no, no, it's not about scary. He's fierce. He's a spiritual, fierce warrior." So anyway, he's doing good things. But yeah, so I was interviewing so many people on the podcast and getting to know so many facilitators. And I love hearing their story of awakening to consciousness, mindfulness, spirituality. And I began to just, I likened it to in my old life way back in the day as a Christian testimonial, right? It's where were you before? What happened to you? And what's life like now? And so I just thought, we've got to get these stories out there to a wider audience. I'm hearing them from average everyday people and conscious leaders, but man, more people need to read these. And so I came across this, concept, which most people are probably familiar with other than me, of an anthology where each person writes a chapter in a book. A lot of these things were new for me, and I just began to dream about specifically the person that I was most interested in reading this book was a mom who had kids that were in late high school, college, and she was starting to ask the question, what am I going to do with my life? I've invested so much of my life. Maybe I've got a career, but I've invested so much of my life in my kids, and now they're going to be moving on to their life. Is this all that life is? Is there more to life than this? And I'm not sure I want to be with this Yahoo I've been married to for so many years. He's kind of, acting up. And what about these intuitive experiences that I've been having? What do I do with this? That's the person that probably I am most passionate about when it comes to Awaken Magazine and the Awaken Hearts book series. Because if I can get that book in her hands and she can start to read these stories of awakening, stories of healing, stories of boldly stepping into one's purpose, they become a mirror for her to see her own life and to go, oh, I resonate with Jennifer Dickens' story. I resonate with Vivian Chevet's story. I resonate with, right? And then they would be inspired. They would experience healing. And then hopefully, in my mind, that woman could then reach out to that healer, facilitator, coach for support. And so I, just got the idea for this concept called Awakened Hearts. And I will tell you that another big inspiration for me was Chicken Soup for the Soul. That was huge back in the 90s. And I just began to dream about what would it look like to have multiple volumes of people's stories of awakening, because you'll never run out of stories of awakening. There's always tons of stories. And you don't just have one story of awakening because it didn't happen to you just one time. There's probably multiple stories because we continue to awaken to new levels of consciousness and experiences and healing and so forth. So anyway, I had 32 people join the project, including Marcy Shimoff, who is a #1 New York Times bestselling author. She's best known for she started the Chicken Soup for the Woman's Soul book series. She also wrote a book called Happy for No Reason. She contributed a chapter, and 31 other amazing authors. And so as you have held up, this is the hard copy version. Inside, I love that we have all the pictures of
It's
the authors. And yeah.
Here's where I'm gonna, because I've been approached to, because Ed, you can imagine the content that we have, and I've been approached to curate an anthology for a couple of years now. And what I love about yours is, and I really think that our listeners are gonna resonate with this. Not only is it beautifully packaged, so I'm just gonna put that aside. Each chapter, so the one that I opened to right away was chapter 21, The Journey in Becoming an African Violet by Greta Chamberlain. Here's what you do with generosity, and then you make it easy. It's a beautiful picture of the person that the chapter is about. Your font, I'm new to readers. Your font is easy to read, even without the readers on. So high
Nice.
five to that. But at the end of it, and the chapters, it's just enough. It's not like they go and they ramble on. Again, I will be in fully transparent, everybody. I just got the book last night, so I've only had an opportunity to read a couple of them. But what David has done at the end of each chapter is he not only has the picture and the closing summary, but then a QR code for you to reach out and to discover and to collaborate with these people and these contributors and these authors and share. And I really love how you package this. It's an invitation, it's a guide, it's something that you can actually use. It's not just something you're going to read and throw away.
Yeah, yeah, and I
There you
just
go, David. Those are the Kelly. That's the Kelly recap.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Do you mind leaving an Amazon review for us? No, just kidding.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll write it down.
Yeah, I just I believe in these people so much and the goodness that they're bringing to the world, and so how could I not, like, let's show their face because we if you're reading a book and you don't know what the person looks like, oftentimes you maybe look at a little, half-inch picture on the back cover of a book. But if I can get that big photo and you're seeing their face and you feel connected to them, then because we connect with people's faces, it's how we connect, and at least initially. And then you can read their bio. You can, as you said, scan the QR code and go to their website. So this is the first book we're actually right now in the process of inviting contributing authors to join our second book, and it's called Awakened Hearts as well, has a different subtitle, and people can reach out if they're interested in sharing their story. And of course there is an investment to participate because we have two editors that participate, 2 rounds of editing. There's a structural editor, there's a copy editor. I provide multiple meetings of training on how to write your story. There's a momentum call and keeping you going. I provide training on also how to leverage this to grow
Right.
your business, and also even how to land podcast interviews, because podcast interviews can be a great way for them to promote their chapter in the book. So these are all ways that we train these individuals, and then we provide multiple social media graphics. We provided each individual with a customized promotional video. I recorded 32 promotional audio videos, or audio clips for the promotional videos for these authors. And yeah, so it's fun. I mean, right now it's a #1 bestseller in 2 different categories on Amazon. And I think we've got like 75 plus 5-star reviews so far. It just launched a week ago. So I'm excited about it. I think it's just a great way to, once again, my vision, amplify the voices of conscious leaders, healers, and coaches. Yeah.
It's beautiful. I mean, it feels good, and there, it's interesting in our world. I love how you introduce the discussion about the investment, because a sound healer doesn't just become a sound healer because they're like, oh, I'm just gonna go grab a bowl and I'm gonna go just hit on it a little bit, and then I'm all of a sudden gonna fill Madison Square Gardens, right? Um, in our world as a publisher, we get people from all over the world constantly reaching out to us offering content. And it's content, content, content.
Yeah.
And I believe there's an energy exchange. And it's not always money. I mean, there's money is a factor in the world. We're in the 3D world. It's a frequency. We have to deal with it. But there has to be an equal energy exchange. And I don't know if enough people understand that.
Yeah.
What are
I
your
mean,
thoughts on that statement, David?
well, I mean, the amount of money that is made off of books, like the actual sale of books, is minuscule. So, unless this book sold millions of copies, it will make pennies. It's about the impact, right?
Yep.
It's about the impact, and it's about also having this book to be able to give to a prospective client or
Yep.
a client that you have right now, or to take the book, buy it at wholesale, which we offer our author copies. They can buy books at my cost. I don't make a dime on those when they buy them, and then they could resell them for whatever they would like. That's a way to get it out there as well. But the amount of investment of from graphic designers to lay out the book to editors to all the time that I put in terms of training, coordinating. I mean, coordinating 32 authors is no small feat. And then keeping it on time, making sure that we hit all of our deadlines. That's very important to me. We hit all of our deadlines with this book because then the people that we work with have to count on that. Okay, well, when is this coming out? How can I leverage this for my business? How am I going to get it, the word out there? And that they also recognize that they're building relationships with the other authors that they wouldn't have otherwise. They're
Right.
feeling that sense. And here's the crazy part. One of my goals was not only to deliver an incredible product, but that I would somehow hold space and create a container for these individuals who were writing, that they would have their own transformational healing experience as well. And so many of those 32 authors who are leaders, healers, and coaches said to me, I thought I had processed it. But when I started writing that 2,500 word chapter, oh my goodness, tears began to flow. Anger began to surface. The need for forgiveness began to become apparent. And I'm like, yes, that is the point, right? It's continuing to just heal and then offering that healing through the chapter as a gift to the reader. So many of the authors, I did multiple live stream interviews with them, talking about their writing experience. And so many of them would say, I was so nervous to tell this story. Either it was really woo and just kind of crazy. I don't know if people are going to believe it, or I was revealing something about my past that I really had not gone public with. And I was nervous about how I would be judged. And I reminded them every time. I said, when you are courageous to share your story, whether you think it's too out there or whether you think it's too vulnerable, rarely is the reader of a book like this coming from a place of judgment or criticism. And if they are, that's not your reader. What the result is for me as I read your story was two things: connection and empathy every time. Because when we're vulnerable with our story, it creates connection because people want genuine, authentic connection. And then there's empathy because I'm like, oh, I feel like after every chapter, I would just want to give the person a hug, like,
Oh,
oh, let me just give you a hug, for being so vulnerable and sharing this. And so anyway, sharing your story. And I say that to um, those of you who are watching and listening today, sharing your story, whether it's in Awakened Hearts or through an article in Edge Magazine or just on your own Substack or blog or just verbally, it is a gift that you are giving the people around you. And if I can just be an outside voice to say, the result is generally going to be a deeper sense of connection and a deeper sense of empathy. We need your story. Your story is sacred. Your story is powerful. Your story is needed in the world.
okay. I want to show you my little. I normally don't show this to people, but I love all the words that you've been saying in just this authentic way. Those are my show notes of all the different little sound bites that David has said that I just think they're just pearls, and I just want to thank you. Okay,
Sure.
so how do people find Awakened Magazine outside of going to the link that I put at the bottom of the screen?
Yeah, awakenmagazine.com. Obviously, it's there. If you land on that page, most likely, if you haven't been there, there'll be a pop-up where if you want to subscribe, you can pop in your email there and join our list. You can always unsubscribe if it doesn't resonate with you. And we're, YouTube. I would strongly encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where all of our content is released. But we also release the audio version on Apple Podcast and Amazon Music, and we release an audio and video version of our podcast on Spotify. You can engage with it there for free in all those places. And Awakened Hearts is available at awakenedheartsbook.com, or you
Okay.
can go to Amazon. If you're interested in being a part of one of our upcoming Awakened Hearts books, you can go to awakenedmagazine.com/awakenedhearts and find out all that information. Or you can just always DM me on any platform. We're available.
People will know how to find you. Now, you're also putting together a community. Tell me a little bit more about that before we go.
Well, let's see. I think, are you referring to our website, awaken.lifestyle? Is that
Yes,
okay?
that's it.
Yeah. So we have a new website that we just launched several months ago called awakened.lifestyle. And it is an online directory of conscious events and podcasts. It's a place where you can promote yourself as a podcast guest. It's a very low investment. There is a free basic listing, of course. The next level is like $9 a month or $99 for the year. And you can list yourself as a conscious leader, healer, or coach, promote yourself as a podcast guest, promote your events, and so forth. It's a great platform.
You guys, so many different ways to connect with David and what he's doing, and he's really creating a movement. I believe it. I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have connected with him. So I really want to encourage everybody to start with awakenedmagazine.com. And I know because the website is so beautiful and easy to use, you're going to be able to find where you want to connect. And how I want to end our time together is a quote that David has in his introduction of the book, and it's all about love. And I'm so, okay, hold on. David has
Before
something.
you do
Yes.
that, I just want to say a huge heartfelt thanks to you, because you have been so generous with your knowledge and your wisdom, because I definitely am like a total new kid on the block, and you have been so open-minded, open-hearted, open-handed with me. And I just genuinely appreciate it. I deeply admire what you and your husband do and how expansive your reach is. It's amazing to see what you guys are doing. So I'm really inspired by you guys, and I look forward to more ways to connect and collaborate and work together in the future. So thank you.
What am I supposed to say to that? Outside of thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm not one to take compliments. I would be normally that. And I'm going to sit in it and I'm going to thank you. That was very kind of you. Okay, you guys. Back to closing. We envision a world where everyone is awakened to love. We believe we come from love. You are healed by love. You express yourself most fully when you love yourself and others. Most simply, you are love. Thank you, David.
It's great
I
to be
so
with you, Kelly.
appreciate you.
Thank
Today
you.
was lovely, and this is just the beginning. More to come.